I want to first introduce our guest speaker for today. She is MyraStrober, a labor economist at Stanford University, professor emerita in the Graduate School of Education, and professor of economics at Stanford's Graduate School of Business, and the founding director of the Clayman Institute for Gender Research. She is an author of numerous articles on women's employment, occupational segregation, feminist economics, and the economics of childcare. Her most recent book is a memoir, Sharing the Work, What My Family and Career Taught Me About Breaking Through and Holding the Door Open for Others. So without further ado, welcome MyraStrober.
Thank you, everybody. It's really an honor to be here. My undergraduate work was at Cornell in the School of Industrial and Labor Relations, and so everything that everybody's said so far is very familiar. I'm going to read several excerpts from my memoir. Catherine said that the theme should be exclusion, so that is the theme. And you will see that although these stories come from several different years, they all talk about exclusion. It's because you live in Palo Alto, the chairman of Berkeley's economics department tells me. I can't have a regular job here because I live in Palo Alto? He nods. Chairman Brake is tall, with football player shoulders. And although I'm tall too, his massive frame towers over me. He's the big shot in one of the most prestigious economics departments in the country. I'm the assistant professor wannabe. If this meeting doesn't go well, he could decide not to hire me for next year. Under my jacket, rivulets of perspiration are making their way down my Dress for Success blouse. You have to live in Berkeley to be on your tenure track? Again, he nods. I'm baffled. I never knew that. My husband, Sam, is a medical resident at Stanford and works incredibly long hours. Often he goes back to his lab late at night to check on his experiments. We have to live in Palo Alto. Okay, I say softly, getting up to leave. Thank you very much. When I get to my office, my hands are shaking. I can hardly insert my key into the lock. I feel drained, disoriented. Did I take something out of the freezer for tonight's dinner? Lamb chops? Hamburger? I dial home, but Margie, my babysitter, doesn't pick up. She's probably taken the kids out somewhere. I leave my office and walk across Sproul Plaza, surprisingly quiet after all the years of student demonstrations. It's 1970, and the Vietnam War is beginning to wind down. I slide into my full-size blue Chevy with a trunk large enough to hold both a stroller and a carriage and review my meeting with Brake. I spend a lot of time in Big Blue these days. It's about an hour between Palo Alto and Berkeley in the morning and longer in the afternoon, and I do the commute 3 days a week. Gradually, crawling in stop-and-go traffic toward the Bay Bridge, the absurdity of Brake's answer registers. My first response is to cry. I grope around in my purse, pull out some tissue, and dab at my eyes. But now the road is blurry. I switch my thoughts to my children. Mommy, Mommy, Jason, my 3-year-old, will scream with delight when he hears my key in the door. And Liz, 11-month-old, will follow his lead. She'll speed across the living room on all fours, tug on my leg, and make joyful noises. Suddenly, the traffic starts to move. I can never tell why the snarls dissolve, but I'm always grateful. As I drive at normal speed, my thoughts turn back to Brake. But this time, instead of tears, I'm aware of growing anger at myself. What's wrong with you? I scream inside my head. You let him humiliate you. You let him make you look mute. You're a smart woman, and you let him make you look stupid. Faculty don't have to live in Berkeley to be on the tenure track. He fed you pure bull, and you bought it. You want to know why you can't have a tenure track job at Berkeley? Look at what's real. There are no women, except Margaret, on the whole economics department faculty, and although she's been there for more than 20 years, she's still a lecturer. Wake up. The difference between a lecturer and an assistant professor is monumental. Assistant professors have a regular job with an opportunity for promotion and lifetime tenure. Lecturers, on the other hand, are on a road to nowhere. They're appointed from year to year, generally only a few months before their teaching is to begin, and have no chance of advancing. I've worked too hard for too many years to be content with second-class citizenship. I intend to get the real deal at Berkeley. When I finally get onto the Bay Bridge, my anger changes. Now I'm furious with Brake. How dare he tell me I have to live in Berkeley? The radio is tuned to the talk station, and I registered Joe Carcione, the popular greengrocer, instructing the whole Bay Area about choosing pumpkins. Ah, Halloween is coming. Maybe I could revisit Brake's office in costume. Witch? Skeleton? Big Bird? Surely some costume could shake him out of his "we all have to live in Berkeley" routine. With my sheathed skirt and matching man-tailored jacket, I'm wearing stockings and high heels. The stockings feel sticky and the shoes pinch every time I accelerate. How I would love to kick off those shoes. Whoever invented high heels definitely didn't have driving in mind. I'm getting angrier by the second. At the traffic, which has snarled again, at my gluey stockings and too tight high heels, and at my own naivete. But most of all, I'm angry at Brake. Slowly, I begin to understand what people mean when they say their anger makes them see red, because a swelling fury, a deep scarlet anger now floods the car. The steel frame and glass windows can't contain it, and it bursts onto the road like a flaming oil slick, a torrent sliding over the bridge's girders and thundering across the bay. As the lights of San Francisco begin to flicker against the darkening sky, I feel a flicker of light within myself. I become a feminist on the Bay Bridge. Okay, this story is from 1964. The morning of my first day at MIT, I'm carrying an armful of my husband's shirts to the laundry. I step off the curb and sprain my ankle, so I'm a few minutes late when I limp into Charlie Meyer's graduate labor relations seminar. I'm the only woman in the class. "I think you're in the wrong room, young lady," Myers says as I sit down. "No, I don't think so. I'm MyraStrober." "Oh, you're MyraStrober," he smiles. "Well, welcome then." The message is clear. In general, women are brushed off, but somehow I'm an exception. I try to puzzle it out. By some means or other, I'm an honorary man. In my PhD economics cohort of about 30 students, there are 3 women, and I'm the only one who's married. My fellow students are cordial and accept me readily into study groups, but I don't become particularly friendly with any of them. I'm starved for female companionship. The secretaries and women administrators see me as odd, and while they greet me politely, they rarely engage me in their conversations. My best chats are with the janitor, a spirited woman with a lively Irish accent and 7 children. When we talk mid-morning in the ladies' room, she cheers me on. "Your mother must be proud of you, getting all this education. Don't you worry, you're the only woman. You'll do yourself proud." Sometimes when my desire to interact with women gets intense, I take the MTA a few stops from MIT to downtown Boston and go to Filene's basement. The basement has no dressing rooms, so women parade around in their underwear, trying on blouses, skirts, dresses, and coats, and asking other women what they think of their proposed new outfits. I have no money to buy anything, but I love to try on new fashions, get other women's comments, and help them assess what they're considering. "No, it's all wrong," I tell one woman. "The horizontal stripes make you look fat, and you're not fat." She tells me, "You're so skinny to begin with. That skirt makes you look like a long drink of water. Try this one. The police will give you some hips. After an hour or so of good-natured bantering with women I have never seen before and never will see again, I'm in a better mood and ready to go back to the library to conquer calculus, the elasticity of substitution, or aggregate production functions. As a student, I had no idea how male my chosen field was. But in the mid-1960s, women made up only 7% of doctoral recipients in economics. I also had no idea how quintessentially male MIT was. Of its more than 6,000 students at the time, only 400, or a little under 7%, were women, about 200 undergraduates and 200 graduate students. Some 15 years after my MIT experience, Rosabeth Moss Kanter would coin the term tokenism for the strangeness I felt at MIT. But during my MIT years, I had no term except the one I coined for myself, honorary man. Okay. This next anecdote is when I first joined the faculty at the Stanford Business School in 1972. A few weeks after I joined the faculty, Lee Bach asked me to give a seminar on my research. This is a critical invitation because I was not asked to give a job talk when I was interviewed for my position. I've never really met most of my economics colleagues, and they've never heard me speak. I want to make a good impression. In fact, I want to do more than that. I want to wow them, show them that they've hired a really superb thinker. Since I've spent the whole summer working on the economics of childcare, I decide to speak on that. I know childcare is one of the most controversial subjects of the day, but I feel the topic gives me an opportunity to convey innovative thinking and show my ability to think like an economist. I work on the talk for several days, carefully considering each word. The first part explains why the childcare market is not working well, and the second presents an economic argument in favor of government subsidization. The talk feels solid, and I rehearse it over and over. On the appointed day, I dress carefully, in my most conservative summer suit with high heels and stockings, and look forward to what I expect will be an interesting exchange of views. I introduce my lecture by saying I intend to argue that good childcare produces numerous external benefits, benefits beyond those accruing to those who receive the service directly, and that because of those external benefits, there is a powerful economic case for the government to subsidize childcare, much in the way it subsidizes education. But I never get past the first 3 minutes of what I've prepared. The setup is akin to a Greek tragedy, in which the protagonist is unaware that her doom has been sealed before the play even begins. My colleagues, 15 conservative white male professors of economics and finance, are aghast at my ideas and begin sputtering in unison. They have the same view as President Nixon, who less than a year earlier vetoed a bill that would have provided federal funding for a comprehensive childcare system. Nixon's reasoning? Such a system would, quote, weaken the family, unquote. My argument is outrageous, my colleagues proclaim, and they spend the next 50 minutes cataloging the evils of government intervention in general and intervention in childcare in particular. Lee Bach, who was ostensibly chairing the seminar, never intervenes to restore order. And I'm too inexperienced and cowed to do it myself. Finally, blessedly, it's 1 p.m., and the men who were supposed to be my audience leave. I knew that many of my economist colleagues were conservative, but I didn't think I would be the only progressive in the room, or at least the only one speaking up. Now I see I'm a double minority at the school, not only the first woman economist, but also the first liberal economist. I'm alarmed and walk back to my office, trembling, just as I did after my first interview with George Brake. Now what? How can I possibly succeed in this place?